Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies, and welcome to a live look at the Sho't Conquering the Desert dev blog. And if you've seen my video on the Magach, you'll know that I couldn't be happier to see another Israeli tank come to the game. Beside the fact that Israel is a super cool nation that's totally unique in the entire world, having recovered from a 2,000-year, what would you call it, diaspora. And yet, today, or from the point where they were formed in, 1948, they have been continually improvising with the materials available to make the coolest tanks the world has ever seen, in my humble opinion. What makes them cool is because they're a mix and match of what's available. Israel just kind of used whatever they could because they always need more than they have when it comes to military armaments. So we got a bunch of 105s. Okay, we'll put them on everything. We have this engine. All right, loaded up in all the tanks. And so you get really cool things like the Sho't. So if this video would pause for just a second, you can see that, yes, this is a premium tank. You get a battering ram. I hope you can hear me doing air quotes in the front. It's clearly an offering plate, so throw your Gaijin coins into the plate. Please purchase this tank. It is a beauty. I'm definitely going to cut some grass to purchase this thing. In fact, I need to get that done. Anyway, it has a 150 cal mounted on the roof in an anti-aircraft position, and then if the camera would hold still, it has another anti-aircraft mount with a 7.62, and then another 7.62 mounted above the cannon, and a coaxial 7.62 to supplement the main gun, a 105 Rheinmetall. No, not Rheinmetall. What is it? L7, sorry. 105 L7. Now, the cool thing about this tank is, besides the fact that it has significantly improved armor, engine, and transmission over the Centurion that you'll find in the standard tech tree for Britain, which is a decent vehicle by all means of measurement, especially considering the stabilizer it gets at a relatively low battle rating. The cool thing about this one is its ammunition selection, having the DM23 APFSDS historically, and likely to have that in the game, as I would expect this to be Britain's equivalent of a 9.0 premium, or should I say a rank 5, effectively rank 6 premium vehicle. Yeah, you want another cracker? Here you go. Yeah, hold on a second, I gotta relaunch this Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood for Guppy. There you go. There you go. Okay, in War Thunder, Sho't will join rank 5 of the British Ground Forces as a premium, a unique Middle Eastern flavor to the well-known Centurion tank. I like how they call it a Middle Eastern flavor. Yeah, I guess that's true. Israel's kind of unique when it comes to the Mideast, though. They're the one nation that doesn't hate America. Currently. We're trying our best to change that, but thankfully our previous president is gone, and our current one is a bit more favorable toward Israel. But to move on from politics, improved mobility, protection against heat. Yeah, you can see there's a bunch of ERA on here, as well as, I think that's an ERA block, as are these, so that is a thing. I wouldn't really rely on the armor of this vehicle at all at the battle rating it's likely to be, because it will face APDS from the MBTs it'll face. However, there are a significant number of secondary vehicles, like the M551, although it won't be facing that, and the BMPs, A lot of the objects will be firing heat rounds, so those things do have a chance of showing up, especially since here you go, Guppy. Especially since the RP, no, sorry, not the RP, the spawn point requirements for ground vehicles has been reduced, so you're much more likely to see people bringing out their second and third string vehicles, and a lot of those could potentially be a lower battle rating. So, armor does matter, even though it won't be so useful against main battle tanks at its own battle rating, most likely. I've heard people talk about this being a great 7-7, but I think that's a bit ridiculous to compare this to the Magach having improvements in every category over the Magach and an extremely improved firepower because of the ammunition selection that's likely to be available. I would be very surprised if this doesn't have a good lawn dart to chuck at the enemy. So yeah, basically what they say here is the up-armored ERA package is gonna save you every now and then, and I think that's the best you could say about it. Dead weight would also be a nice descriptor for it, if it weren't for the fact that, again, a lot of the secondary vehicles you'll be facing will be using heat, and not to mention attacks from helicopters. Speaking of, at the battle rating this will be, it is likely to face helicopters at close range that are using non-ATGM based weaponry, or AGM. And the machine guns and the ERA will provide much needed protection from that threat. You'll likely be able to saturate quite an area with the amount of MGs and the varying calibers that you have, and having 3 roof-mounted MGs is definitely not an unwanted position to find yourself in. They could even occasionally eat a round or two that's coming in from above, so maybe that'll be a thing. We'll see. There's really not all that much to say about this tank other than it's awesome because it's Israeli. I planned to make this video yesterday or the day before, was it, when this came out, but I've just been very busy. My water heater exploded, and I had to deal with that, and my house is just generally a mess. I need to do a lot of cleaning up. Anyway, that's not your problem, it's mine. So I'll check, see if anybody has dropped any comments on the live. Waluigi for Smash, a little late. Yeah, you're right. I've been busy, and I don't make videos when my wife is home just because it's not very relaxing for her for me to be talking into the mic, and she definitely needs to relax when she comes home. She is due to give birth to our second baby girl on January, so she's a whale right now. she's all round and preggy, and she works full-time at the post office, and the post office is extremely busy during this entire season until the Christmas season is done, for obvious reasons. So I try to make things easy for her. But let's move on to finishing up this one by reading a few comments on this delightful Israeli tank coming to the game. Kolol says, so am I the only one here who does not hope Israel to end up full on premium? So I suppose he's hoping that Israeli tanks, or I should say Israeli ground vehicles, get their own tech tree. I think that would be awesome. I think that there are a ton of things to choose from for an Israeli tree. By virtue of what I mentioned earlier, they used whatever they could get their hands on, so they can have all kinds of World War II era vehicles that were used by them or captured by them in the War for Independence, 1948. And then if you look at things like Yom Kippur and Six-Day War, all the way leading up to that, not only did Israeli ground vehicles actually see more combat than a lot of other vehicles we find in other nations' tech trees, they also used a variety of equipment up until they started standardizing and producing their own famous and very effective I lost it. Merkava series of tanks. So I would very much look forward to an Israeli tech tree. What they do for aircraft and helicopters, that is something for a future date, I suppose. But I would love to see something like a tabbed tech tree. So if we look at, say, America right now, I would love to see, if we go into the American tree, if there could be like a tab for, say, allies. And instead of having all of this, you could basically open up your Israeli tech tree and drop in Israeli vehicles into your allies' lineup. So you could put them into an American team, you could put them into a British team, maybe even a French for by light of NATO. And then you'd have another tree for, say, just these guys. So I don't know, something like that. But that's not a very good way to describe it. But I would love to see like minor trees come to the game where they don't have to have every battle rating of vehicle. They don't have to have aircraft, helicopters, fleet, and army. And obviously, it would be best if other trees get fleshed out, like the Italian tree and the French tree, and definitely the Japanese, getting their navies and helicopters, just because everybody needs helicopters now that helicopters are part of the game. I was experiencing some of that imbalance, but we're getting far afield now. So to bring it all back to the Sho't Cow, Deranger79 says, because of what we need in the UK tree is more Centurions, and not even Brit. Oh, shut up! Centurions are awesome, and the fact that it's not British means it can have a little bit more flavor. So he's complaining that it exists, and then he's complaining that you have to pay for it. What? No, Deranger, not only are you wrong, because there is a new tank coming to the regular tech tree of the British, getting premium vehicles from another nation that are a cool variant of the local production is, in my opinion, one of the best ways of making a premium vehicle. Especially if it has an appropriate battle rating. This tank is going to be something of an anachronism because it has offensive and ERA equipment that are definitely sort of beyond the scope that the Centurion has in game so far. It's going to be interesting to see how this thing going to hold up in terms of mobility and firepower in the meta that is likely to find itself in. 8.3 is like the lowest battle rating I could see this thing at. It's definitely higher than a 7.7 or an 8.0. We'll have to see. But that gold nameplate is going to mean that it finds its balance fairly well. One of the things that I sort of count on when it comes to premium vehicles is, because we're paying money for them, Gaijin tends to make sure they have some place in the game, especially for something like this. So it may have its teething problems, but as with the Magach 7, I think that it will have a place. And if you, again, go back and watch the videos of people playing that tank, it's not a bad tank. One of the things that actually suffered from was lack of a stabilizer. So for a rank 5 premium with a stabilizer and a good round, that alone will give it a place. The fact that it has middling mobility, most likely, when compared with vehicles near its battle rating, will be a hindrance. But little extra things like this battering ram, what's that going to do? Is that going to make the lower plate more difficult to penetrate? Will it act like spaced armor against high explosive and heat rounds? We'll have to see. That'll be interesting. And will this ERA be effective against helicopters? Well, being that there's none directly on top of the roof, as far as I can tell. Oh, there is a bit here on this upper plate, but the top of the roof here, where if we look at the Centurion that's already in the game, going to our British tree, and where do I have mine? I know I have the STRV. I do love my gold nameplates, guys. So, same hole, essentially. What happens if you get hit with a missile from an aircraft through your turret? Likely going to take out turret crew, at least 2, possibly 3 of them. And then also possibly the engine. Unless the missile is coming straight down, which it won't be doing, it's not likely to ignite any ammo other than this ready rack here. So right side of the turret, and they're likely to hit ammo in the ready rack and the loader. Left side, they're likely to take down the commander and gunner, and any hit is also likely to take down the cannon breach, which is significant. So that is a danger. But if you look, the main threat here is this big ammo rack here and the ammo store lower in the hole that would be detonated on a hull strike. So if we look at the hull of the Sho't, cool name by the way, it is very well protected here with ERA. Will that be enough to prevent a helicopter AGM from detonating an ammo rack? We'll have to see. At its battle rating, it is likely to be able to face AGM wielding helicopters. I really couldn't see it being any lower. And, well, if this is an 8.3, it won't face AGM helis very often. If it is an 8.7, it may. But you're still looking at, worst case scenario, probably a 50-50 for facing 9.7 vehicles, of which helicopters would be a serious threat. Outside of that, well, if you still have 10 degrees of gun depression, is it 10 on the Centurion? I need to, yep, 10 for the STRV, so hopefully still 10 for our guy Sho't. Good gun, decent reverse speed, overall Mario style mobility, middling. This ain't no Sonic here, but if he's got to go fast, he can go at a reasonable pace, at a medium pace. And I'm just looking forward to all these machine guns, honestly. Let's be real here. I'm just really looking forward to having a bunch of turret mounted MGs. So as we wrap this up, we got Derpy Boy up in here. Waluigi's going on a rampage. Yeah, let's see. Something I find bizarre is that in console, the I-400 Sentoku class subs the same size as the others. Well, I guess I couldn't really comment on that. Merkava. Yeah, did I? Yeah. M8's really tonk, so it's a premium. Gaijin doesn't have the Fiat 3000 or any of the L3 tankettes. We riot. I would love to see tankettes. The tinier the tank, the better. That's one of the reasons that I loved playing the Hotchkiss. If you go to one of my older videos, when the French came out, the Hotchkiss was an absolute blast for me to play. The Golden Premium Boy. I think it was at a 1.0 when I played it, and now I think it's at a 1.3, but either way, it's still, if you play it just right, it feels like a rank 1 mouse. It's really adorable as far as how the armor works. Scent Mark 1 is best scent due to its BR. Used to say Mark 3 was best. when it was 6-3. Well, I think one of the really neat things about the Centurions, I remember when the Cent Mark 1 came to the game and it was just dominating everything. And it still is a very strong tank. Its armor layout is a bit different than the other Centurions, but at a 5.7, my goodness. Is this really a 5.7? That's a really low battle rating for such a strong tank. I would call this a solid 6.0. Being that I think this is stronger than the Panthers that you find at 5.7, especially since it has a stabilizer, a lot better turret traverse, equal if not better mobility, equal if not better armor, and definitely a strong gun. Then we get to the Cent Mark 3, a solid 6.7. I think that it belongs there, and it can perform very well there as a medium tank. Again, one of the things about the Centurion is at battle rating 5.7 especially, but also at 6.7, it's a medium tank with very good armor for a medium tank. And again, in a medium, your goal is to not get hit at all. And with a stabilizer and a gun that performs very well at long range, just mobile enough to get yourself into those good positions at just the right times, yeah, the Cent is a very solid tank at 5.7, at 6.7, at 7.0. The Cent Mark 10, the Cent Mark 10 is a great tank, and the Sho't Cal will be the first regular Centurion Mark 5, more or less, that we'll see. There is the Avery, but I'm pretty sure the Sho't Cal is based on the Mark 5 Centurion hull. So, being that we already have a weaker Cent Mark 5 at 7.0, again, I feel it's very likely this is going to be essentially, really, I mean, honestly, it's a rank 6, but it'll be here as a rank 5 golden name tag premium, and it'll play with these boys here, the early rank 6 vehicles. So you got your chieftains to back it up, to act more like a heavy tank. You've got your warrior IFV for some mobility, and ATGM warfare. Your swing fire for the memes, and your chieftain marksman for the Xeno dreams. I've intended to unlock the chieftain marksman because I need to get a top tier AA for the British, but as you can see, I have a few things to work on for the Brits, so perfect opportunity getting a higher battle rating vehicle that I have nothing to back it up with. I know, but well, that's just the way things are. It's a great opportunity for me to start grinding out the British tree. So until the patch drops, which is probably going to be soon, I'll most likely be playing my STRV and the fantastic Wyvern. The Wyvern is a very, very delightful attacker that insists to call itself a naval fighter, except for the fact that it's super heavy and it sucks at being a fighter. Unless, well, you play it a certain way. And that's, well, that's a story for another time. Anyway, guys, I've droned on long enough. Very excited about the Sho't Cal. By the way, check out Many Miles Away, who made a fantastic video on the history of the Sho't Cal Dalet. He gives a lot more of the technical information and, again, developmental information that is really useful for getting a feel for where this tank may sit, and for those of you like me that like to just get into the heart of these premium vehicles that we're going to spend so much money acquiring. Well, that's also useful for that. As I said, I've gone on long enough. Guys, thanks for sticking with me during this. Where did my baby go? She's wandering. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.